Hey, I'm Blair Best. It's Wednesday here on The Story, and tonight, the centuries-old legal tool that's being used in immigration cases across the country, including here in Oregon, what it forces the government to prove. Plus, the death of the penny. Today, the last 1-cent pieces in U.S. history were pressed in Philadelphia. Find out what other U.S. coin costs more to produce compared to what it's actually worth. But first, today, Portland City Councilors debated whether or not to cut money from the city's homeless camp removal program, and the public had a lot to say, with public testimony lasting 3 hours. It's our big story tonight. But first, we continue to follow that breaking news from our nation's capital, where within the past 70 minutes, the House of Representatives approved a funding bill to reopen the federal government. Now that it has advanced through both chambers, it heads to President Trump's desk. The White House says the president could sign it at some point in the next half hour. Now, once the president signs the bill, it will end the longest government shutdown in U.S. history on day 43. The bill extends government funding through January, with a Republican promise to hold a vote next month on extended health care subsidies, though approving that extension is not guaranteed. That sticking point is over enhanced tax credits to make health insurance more affordable through the Affordable Care Act. Democrats wanted them extended. Republicans wanted to deal with that separately, apart from the spending bill. And as the shutdown took its toll on Americans, enough Senate Democrats crossed the aisle on the promise of Republicans holding a vote on the extension next month. Worth noting, though, that none of the senators from the Pacific Northwest voted for the plan. Meanwhile, Oregon Representative Val Hoyle, taking a shot at Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer, calling on him to resign from his leadership position in the wake of the shutdown deal. Her team confirmed that Hoyle wrote this on her personal X account yesterday. If my leadership caved after a 40-day strike and got nothing in return, they would be voted out immediately. Pelosi never would have let this happen. Real leaders lead. We'll have more coverage of what happens next with the reopening of the federal government tonight at 8 p.m. on our free streaming app, KTW+. Also breaking tonight, the leader of the Oregon Department of Transportation, Chris Strickler, announces he's leaving the agency at the beginning of the year. He has led the 4,500-person department for the past 6 years, making him the second longest-serving ODOT director in state history. In a statement, he wrote, "The decision to leave ODOT did not come easily to me, but with funding for the maintenance and operations of our transportation system secured, now is the time for new leadership to lead ODOT's next chapter." His last day with the agency is January 2nd. The Oregon Transportation Commission will work with Governor Tina Kotek on a national search for the agency's next leader. Okay, now let's get back to our big story tonight regarding Portland City Council's discussion today over whether or not to cut money from the city's homeless camp removal program. As I saw today, support for the plan is far from unanimous. Portland City Council chambers was full Wednesday afternoon.
City revenue is coming in slightly lower than anticipated, so we have a hole in this fiscal year.
The councilors debated budget changes, including cutting $4.3 million from the Impact Reduction Program's roughly $14 million budget. That's the team responsible for removing homeless camps. That money instead would go toward East Portland safety improvements, along with helping people afford rent and food. An idea introduced by Councilor Angelita Morillo.
The key thing that we are trying to get at with this amendment is to simply reduce the number of sweeps that are happening.
Councilor Morillo says the city is on track to clear about 8,000 homeless camps this fiscal year.
We are exceeding the projection that we currently have. We are funneling city dollars into an endless pit of sweeps. We are not helping our neighbors become housed.
But Councilor, you said that in some cases, I believe you said that in some cases you think that camps should be removed.
We are not cutting the full program. We are asking for fewer sweeps. We are asking for more upstream solutions.
So just fewer, not fewer by X percent, not fewer based on certain criteria, just fewer.
Right, you can do as much as you can with the amount of money that we are giving you.
Public testimony lasted 3 hours.
I'm against the cuts. I think it takes away the opportunity to offer continued compassionate care to our houseless neighbors.
Emily Stutzman is a Central East Side business owner.
There are people that put their camps up around my businesses, and it deters my employees from coming in because they're scared. And I also have clients that are uncomfortable coming to my business because there's been violence and there's fires and there's scary things.
My camp was complete mayhem.
For 3 years, John Collins lived under the Morrison Bridge.
Each time it was swept, pretty much we just moved across the street.
City crews cleared John's camp 3 times, he says, before he was ever offered shelter.
I accepted it, and from there I rebuilt my life.
He's now at City Hall in support of cutting money for camp removals, unless, he says, they're paired with housing resources.
If supportive services aren't behind that, then sending people out just to move a camp maybe across the street is just a waste of money, really.
Each year, the city is legally required to remove at least 500 campsites that block ADA access on public sidewalks. Earlier this week, Mayor Keith Wilson warned against cuts to the camp removal program, writing in part, defunding our citywide impact reduction program mid-year would likely result in service reductions of up to 75% for the remainder of the fiscal year. This would be devastating for every neighborhood. Okay, and here's a live look at that council meeting. It is still going on. Councilors started talking about these budget amendments at 12:30 this afternoon. So this has been going on for about 6 hours now. There were several amendments proposed, including cuts to parks, police, and fire bureaus. And we are expecting to hear from the mayor on all of this after the public testimony wraps up. Today is just the first reading on the amendments. Council will vote next week, and we will be sure to keep you posted. Okay, but talk to us. What do you think about Councilor Morillo's proposal? Are you for or against homeless camp sweeps? Let us know. Email the story at kgw.com or call and leave us a voicemail, 503-226-5090. All right, turning now to a live look inside a city council meeting in Newport on the Oregon coast. It's the first time city leaders have faced the public since rumors swirled about the feds apparently wanting to set up an ICE detention facility there. City leaders previously told KGW they were tipped off when a third party filed a letter of intent to rent several acres near the airport for federal use. Though we just learned that letter of intent has apparently been withdrawn. Now, it's the same location a Coast Guard air station housed a rescue helicopter for nearly a decade, though that helicopter moved to Coos Bay in late October, making any rescue trip to Newport that much longer. As of yesterday, city leaders told us their requests to the feds for more information have all gone unanswered. The lack of communication about what's going on in Newport now has the attention of several Oregon lawmakers in Congress. Senators Wyden and Merkley, along with Reps Bonamici and Hoyle, wrote a letter to DHS Secretary Kristi Noem today, demanding clarity on the federal government's plans regarding the move of the Coast Guard chopper and the ICE rumors. Writing in part, we urge you to immediately provide the Oregon congressional delegation and state and local officials with a clear explanation of DHS's actions and intentions in Newport. Reassigning Coast Guard assets or establishing ICE facilities in Newport would be deeply misguided and should not move forward without full transparency and a consultation with local officials. Catherine Cook is sitting in on that Newport Council meeting happening right now. Her full report tonight on the news at 11. Now, when it comes to ICE activity in the Portland metro area, we're hearing from a Hillsborough grandfather detained for nearly a month after he was arrested by agents who were apparently looking for someone else with the same name. Alma McCarty sat down with him and his family, who say their fight for answers is far from over.
Less than half a mile from downtown Hillsborough, Victor Cruz stepped out of his truck and handed federal agents his work permit. Despite that proof and the fact he says they were looking for someone else, those agents took him into ICE custody.
When I heard them talking to each other, is he him? Is he him? and they go, it has to be him, it needs to be him.
Victor Cruz recalling the conversation between federal agents along this road October 14th. Then another later that day between officials at the ICE facility in Portland.
There is nothing on him. He has a clean record. What do you want to do? Do you want us to let her go, or do you want us to take it to Tacoma? And the lady said, I don't want anything to do with him. Just do whatever you want.
So hours after his detainment came the transfer to the Northwest ICE Processing Center.
That's when the nightmare begins.
The Hillsborough grandfather, who's lived in Washington County for decades, described the facility as cold and harsh, cells crowded with dozens of people.
They keep saying that there is only criminals that they are arresting. They keep saying that only bad people is in jail, which is not true.
Victor telling us that in the face of so many unknowns, he leaned on his faith.
Since the moment that they arrest me, I didn't see nothing but miracles in my case. Because a week before I was released, I was going to be deported.
KGW has asked the Department of Homeland Security about Victor's case. Officials have maintained that he was not arrested by mistake, writing, "Those who are in our country illegally have a choice. They can leave the country voluntarily or be arrested and deported."
This is a big thing.
Victor's release 3.5 weeks later came with conditions.
Our lawyer put in a habeas petition and it was granted, and we went and paid the bond in full. What we didn't anticipate is him coming home with an ankle monitor.
It weighs too much that it hurts so bad in your ankle.
His family says the uncertainty continues.
He is still in removals proceedings, so they're still actively trying to deport him.
But they say the fight for justice also continues.
They checked my record with my fingerprints, and they found nothing on my record. They had the power to let me go, and still they arrest me.
Victor's first check-in with immigration since being released is on Thursday. Now he and his family are hoping to get some more answers, from the reason for his ankle monitor to the whereabouts of his ID and work permit. In Hillsborough, Alma McCarty, KGW News.
Okay, so you heard Victor's daughter there mention that their lawyer filed a habeas petition, which is what led to his release. But what exactly does that mean? Well, here's how a Seattle immigration lawyer describes it.
This legal mechanism, habeas corpus, is the single most powerful tool that we can use.
Now, that tool dates back centuries. According to the Brennan Center for Justice, a nonpartisan law and policy institute that's part of the NYU Law School, the idea goes all the way back to the year 1215, when the Magna Carta was signed. Back then, it was meant to protect people from a king arbitrarily disappearing subjects to dungeons without just cause or due process. Here's how the legal tool is described. Habeas is a legal procedure that allows people who have been detained by the government to challenge their detention in court. If a criminal defendant or an immigrant detainee believes that the government lacks legal authority to detain them, they can petition a court to order their release. Now, when one of these petitions is filed, as we've seen in immigration cases here in Northwest, it requires a judge to have a detainee physically present in court to weigh the legality of the detainment. In immigration cases, the government must prove that the person's detention is lawful, and if not, the person must be set free. Though, as we saw in Victor's case, the feds are still keeping tabs on him with that ankle monitor. So having a habeas petition granted does not mean you're necessarily free in every sense of the word. Okay, coming up next on the story, a woman in Northeast Portland is attacked by a random dog. And as she tries to stop the dog's owners, they simply walk away. She sat down with Devin Haskins today. That's next when the story returns. Okay, well, social media is just full of photos like this of the northern lights from last night. These are pictures from across the region, from Camas to Manzanita to Depot Bay, and we could get another light show tonight if the clouds don't cover it up. Meteorologist Joe Ranieri joins us. Joe, how likely are we to see them again?
It's unlikely here in the metro area. Got to go east,
really
Blair.
let me down.
I know. It's absolutely a blast to see something, especially with somebody who loves science as much as I do. But I want to take you out to the Oregon coast from last night. This was over in Depot Bay, where they saw a beautiful shot of the northern lights. And tonight, again, it's a pretty incredible display, but we're not going to be able to see it. So the forecast right now, it's active, but it's on the weak side. But here in the next couple of hours, it's going to be on the extreme side. So if you're wondering, how do the northern lights form? Well, it comes from the solar wind. Charged protons and electrons are emitted from the sun. Well, those particles follow Earth's magnetic field and enter the Earth's atmosphere through the poles. Those electrons collide with various molecules in the upper levels of the atmosphere. The resulting results basically are beautiful colors of some greens, some blues, and some pinks. And we basically got a chance to see all of that last night. Now, as we look at the futurecast going into the next couple of hours, we're going to be looking at basically dry conditions the rest of your Wednesday night, and for the most part, most of your morning commute, just some light showers along the Oregon coast. This is a weak system that's basically going to kind of stall out and just kind of bring in heavier downpours at times along the coast. Later in the afternoon, the showers pick up again. I'd say between 3 and 5 o'clock. That's kind of that window where you can expect to see some wet conditions in the metro area. And going into Friday, overnight, you'll be looking at some light showers, but I'm calling Friday more dry than wet. Most of the shower activity is going to be falling in the early morning hours on Friday, and we stay dry a good portion of the day on Saturday. Things will change, though, heading into Sunday with heavier downpours and windy conditions by late afternoon and in the early part of the evening. I know I'm getting ahead of myself, so let's focus on tomorrow. Mainly dry to start things off. There will also be areas of morning fog. The rain picks up by the afternoon, but expect to see some wet conditions by Sunday and into the early part of next week. But this is that cold front that's going to be moving on shore tonight. Now, daytime highs earlier today were right around the upper 50s to low 60s. A few locations near Scappoose, you got close to 65 degrees earlier this afternoon. So a slight chance to see some light showers over the next few hours, but the showers will really start to pick up by the later part of the afternoon. This model is showing maybe right around 7, 8 o'clock during your morning commute, and maybe by the time you're getting to go catch the bus, you could be seeing some wet conditions, and rainfall amounts will be on the lighter side. And so far this month, we've been seeing some very pleasant conditions. And that was the case earlier today with a daytime high of 62 degrees. So no rainfall yet today, and that's going to be the case here the next few hours. For the month, though, yeah, we're sitting pretty, almost 2.5 inches of rain. And yeah, looking into tomorrow, we'll add up to November rainfall, but not all that much, maybe a 1/10 to 2/10 of an inch of rain. Daytime high tomorrow, Blair, of 60 degrees, more dry than wet for Friday and Saturday, but we will be seeing the rain return for Sunday.
Okay, Joe, sounds good. Thanks so much. Well, a woman in Portland was out for her morning walk recently in Northeast when she says she was viciously attacked by a dog. She says the animal's apparent owners left without saying a word. She talked with Devin Haskins today, saying she needs skin grafts and that even moving around causes severe pain.
On a Tuesday morning in late October, it was her usual route for her morning walk. A route this woman says she's taken for years.
Even going early in the morning in the dark, I feel safe.
She says as she was about to cross Northeast Deacon Street, a dog several yards away ran towards and bit her.
The dog was holding my leg so tight, I couldn't even want to kick my leg.
She asked that we not show her face or use her name. She says the dog bit so hard and shook its head, it tore a sizable layer of skin straight off.
Yeah, it goes from here to back there.
She took this video.
Stop them! Stop them!
Walking after the two people that own the dog.
So they took off, and I was behind them screaming my lungs up, trying to get their face or trying to record them, you know. And I was screaming as loud as I can, but they keep on going fast.
She says they just walked away.
They didn't even help me to get up from the floor. You know, they didn't even say, oh, I'm sorry or something, nothing, not even a word.
All bandaged up, she says she has several more surgeries ahead of her. And not taking her morning walk like she's done for years is the hardest part of the healing process.
It's been rough, like yesterday and the day before, you know, I have my moment. And I think sometimes also the emotional part, like this really happened to me. The acceptance part is kind of hard for me.
Devin Haskins, KGW News.
Portland police continue to search for the two people that had the dog. They were long gone by the time officers arrived when this happened. Multnomah County Animal Control officers are also searching the area with no luck so far. Well, coming up next on the story, today's date will be written about in history books, though likely just as a footnote. The final U.S. pennies were pressed today in Philadelphia after President Trump ordered production to end as a cost-saving effort. How much the Treasury is expected to save. That's when the story returns. Well, today, the United States Mint ended production of the penny. The final 1-cent pieces were struck in Philadelphia, where the coins have been produced since 1793. This is footage of the final penny being made. The last few coins will be auctioned off. President Trump ordered the penny's demise as a cost-saving effort because the cost to make 1 cent had climbed to about 4 cents.
Although today we say goodbye to the continued production of our copper 1-cent coin, let me be crystal clear. The penny remains legal tender. We have over 300 billion pennies that remain in circulation, and we encourage you to use them.
The Treasury Department expects to save around $56 million per year by stopping penny production. Over the last century, around half of the coins made at the U.S. mints in Philadelphia and Denver have been pennies. When you look at how much it costs to make other U.S. coins, you start to wonder if the death of the penny is the precursor to fewer kinds of coins in the future. According to the Associated Press, while the penny costs around 4 cents to make, the nickels ratio isn't great either. The 5-cent piece costs around 14 cents to produce. The dime and quarter make financial sense, so to speak. Less than 6 cents to make a 10-cent dime, and around 15 cents to make the 25-cent quarter. While the first pennies back in the 1790s were made of pure copper, today's coins are made of zinc with a copper plating. Coin collectors will tell you that in 1943, pennies were made of zinc-coated steel because copper was needed during World War II. According to the U.S. Treasurer, the last United States coin to be discontinued was the half cent way back in 1857, before the Civil War. But here we are on November 12th, 2025, the day that the penny officially became a thing of the past. That's the end of our show, folks. Thanks so much for watching. The good stuff is coming your way next, and don't forget, everyone has a story to tell. If you ever miss an episode of The Story at 6:30, we re-air it at 10:30 and 8:30 on our TV app, KGW+, which you can download for free right now on Roku, Apple TV, and Fire TV. In the meantime, have a great Wednesday night. I'll see you right back here tomorrow night at 6:30.